Festivals. Special announcement. New destinations have been announced. Please be advised and plan accordingly. All aboard.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us wherever you are. Good afternoon or good evening, depending on your location. So, once again, welcome to Flutter Festival Accra. Flutter Festivals is a community-led event series where developers can join to learn about fundamental Google technologies, which include Flutter, Firebase, and Google Cloud. So we are really excited to have you here, and we have amazing speakers who are going to give various presentations. And I hope that you are going to learn as much as I'm going to learn. So some of the speakers we have lined up include Majid Ajan. So Majid is a Google developer expert and passionate software developer with years of experience developing and architecting complex web and mobile applications. His passions are generally Flutter, PWA, and web performance. He is an award-winning book author at A-Press and instructor at Pact Publishing, Udemy and Plural sites. He loves sharing his knowledge with the community by writing and speaking, having workshops and video tutorials, contributing to open source and organizing meetups and events. He is also the organizer of several big nomadic conferences and meetups such as Flutter Vikings. I'm really excited to have Majid, and I hope you are as well. Then we also have Mariam Hamzat. So Mariam is a mobile developer with a creative eye for building good products using the best software development practices. She is capable and very passionate about building innovative solutions to solve critical problems. She is a good team player with vast knowledge in leadership and very good communication skills. And I really excited to also have Miriam with us. Then we also have Mehmet Ali. So he is also a software developer who shares content mostly around Flutter, Firebase, Angular, TensorFlow, and computer engineering PhD students at Yildiz Technical University in Turkey. So these are the amazing speakers we have lined up for you. Do stay with us and let's have an awesome Flutter Festival.
Attention, all passengers. Special announcement. New destinations have been announced. Please be advised and plan accordingly. All aboard.
Okay, so hi again. We are waiting for our first speaker.
Attention, all passengers. Special announcement. New destinations have been announced. Please be advised and plan accordingly. All aboard.
Overcome the hurdles of financial difficulties in the academic journey. It involves three simple steps, which are: step 1, register. To register, go to either the Apply tab or the Profile tab and click on Login. After that, click on Sign Up below the Login button, enter your full name, your email, and then finally your password. Step 2, apply. To apply for funding, go back to the Application tab, choose a nice picture, enter an awesome title, a captivating story, enter your target amount, and finally select a category. After reviewing your application, hit the Submit button. After your application is sent, it is put on pending. The administrator then reviews the application and decides whether to approve or reject the application. If the application is rejected, your application status should change from pending to rejected and would not be visible on the home screen. Step 3, start receiving funding. If your application is approved, your application status would be set to approved. Now your approved application should be listed on the home screen. With your application now listed, anybody across the world can now help fund your education by using either a card or mobile money. EduFund was built using the Flutter framework, so you can expect an incredible app performance, low power consumption, and speedy IT support across all platforms. At EduFund, we love to hear from our wonderful users, hence we encourage you to always send your feedback. To do this, you can go to the info screen, click on Send Feedback, choose a rating, enter your comments, issues, or suggestions, and we will reach out to you as soon as possible. EduFund, empowering the future.
Okay, so that was EduFund. We'll now move on to our first presentation, which will be led by Mehmet Ali Behram. So he's a software developer, as I mentioned earlier, who like talking about Flutter, Firebase, Angular, and TensorFlow and computer engineering topics. So he will be speaking on the
Hello,
hello,
Mike.
hello, Mehmet. Yeah, you
Uh,
can go.
yeah, thank you so much to having me. Um, yeah, here is my presentation. I will try to do my best. Actually, since this topic is a really big topic, and actually it's completely different area that's DevOps engineering going to work with it. But since we are trying to be a like full stack developer and try to understand every step of the development, uh, so, we need to actually do our DevOps operations, and for that, our best friend is GitHub Actions and Fastlane. Today, I will try to tell you about both of them and how I'm using them to solve my everyday daily problems, and my how it's going to make my daily jobs really easy, and how it can help you to do your continuous integration and continuous deployment. And as Mike said, I am Mehmet Ali, and I am a computer engineering PhD student at the Yıldız Technical University at Turkey. And I want to just show you a picture. After this picture, actually, there is a note to reach the source of each image. You can just click on the image. I will share the link of the presentation so everyone can use it. I'm just going to copy the link and paste it the chat, and the moderator will share with you. If you want to just with me check the presentation, you can just click on the link and come here. And here is just a brief picture tell us about what's the actually continuous integration and what's continuous delivery and what's continuous deployment. As I said, firstly, actually all of those steps are named as DevOps. The first part is agile development. This is about development side. It's not a topic that we will discuss today. Another one is continuous integration. That's contain the integrate and tests, and another one is going to release. That's mean we are going to create an like API APK or like actually IPA for iOS. And another one is deployment. That's name is continuous deployment. That we will discuss it later. It's about deploy our application to the app stores directly, and my today's content will be like I will talk about what's actually continuous integration and what's continuous deployment and what's actually CI/CD pipeline. And the second one is using GitHub Actions to set up a workflow. I will show you some workflow examples. And another one is installing Fastlane and organize related folders, because since we are going to send our application directly to the App Store, we need to like screenshots, also like long description, titles. Also, I will show you a really good GitHub repository that I'm actually look at it almost every day. It's organized like there is multi-language. It's going to have their own screenshots and own description. They will send to directly to Google Play and Google, App Store, and also Firebase hosting. And another one is important part that getting necessary case from Firebase, Google Play, and App Store, since we need to send our application directly to the Firebase hosting or Google Play or App Store. So we need to API case. And the next one is one of the most important parts of the using GitHubs, because we need to hide our sensitive information, say sensitive data. So how we can use GitHub secrets to like make our Google Services JSON file or Google Services info list file. We will encrypt them and use them directly in GitHub secrets. The next topic is about the continuous integration. That it's actually is where I got this description from the source. As you see on the bottom left of the screen, there is an link. You can just click on the image and go it directly. You will find a lot of more detailed information about continuous integration and continuous deployment. Briefly, continuous integration is actually the validation of the developer change by creating a special build processes. This is actually because we are not going to code all projects solely, because we are going to work as a part of team, and every part of the team going to make changes in the codes and write codes and going to push it directly to the GitHub. So we need to check and validate if it's going to work good. I mean, this integration means is integrates the all teams codes in the main repos. To that, we need to fetch dependencies from the repos and building the codes and running automated tests and actually running code analytics. We need to analyze the codes if there is any problem. And if there is any problem, like we need to send them notification, like with email and SMS or etc. GitHub Actions actually will send you an email if there is any error or something like that. And finally, packaging the build to the next step. We will package our, like, as you are going to use Flutter for development, you know that we need to like Flutter build, app bundle, all Flutter build for web, Flutter build web. Finally, we will do that to go to the next step. Next step is actually continuous deployment. And I just got this description from the Atlassian website. You can just check, and actually there is a really good picture that show us what's continuous deployment. It's also briefly, continuous deployment is a software release process that uses automated testing to validate if changes to a code base are correct and stable for immediate autonomous deployment to a production environment. The big point is that we are going to deploy our APKs and all of our code products directly to the production environment, like Google Play or Firebase hosting or Apple App Stores. And here is a good picture that show us what's actually GitHub Actions. Since I will show you some codes, but before going to show the codes, I just want to make your mind more clear to understand what are we going on there. GitHub Actions, actually, there are some workflows that I will in the workflows, there are some jobs like build, test, analyze, deploy. There will be some jobs. And so we all jobs are their own steps, like do this, do this, do this. Also, we can use like if blocks. Conditionally, we can run some steps, but for trigger these workflows, we need some events like pull request or push or release or something like. And also there are schedule. We can schedule actually GitHub Actions to maybe some of you are familiar with the Linux cron jobs. Actually, it's the same syntax that we are going to use for cron jobs. It's the same. And actually, it's completely same. It's not something different. Syntax also same, and the jobs also the same. Cron jobs. The schedule mean is that, and also another tool that we are going to use for deployment. It's Fastlane. Fastlane is one. Actually, there are a lot of alternative to use Fastlane, but the Fastlane is an open source and completely free tool that we are going to use in our projects. As it's also, I just got this directly from their website, as you see on the actual, again, on the bottom left of the screen. Fastlane is an open source platform aimed at simplifying Android and iOS deployment. Fastlane lets you automate every aspect of your development and release workflow. Actually, it includes taking screenshots and sends them to the App Store and change your description, long description, short description, and multi-language descriptions. All of them will be modified by the Fastlane, and I will show you all of them. And so, as Anonymous saying that, let's show us the codes. Just I will go and show you some codes that we are going to use for our everyday works. And actually, I just want to stop here a bit and wait for if you have any questions that I talked about. And if not, I will continue to show you some codes, but I wish there probably will some questions. I'm waiting your questions. And I'm just looking at the chat part. Okay, I think there's no questions, so I'm going to show you the actual codes that we are going to use for my everyday. Before I'm going to deep dive into the workflows, I just want to show you also in my GitHub profile page, you will see there is also a workflow that automatically go to the YouTube and got my last videos, or going to my blog and get my last blog. I just want to show you that because of the show you the workflows. As you see, if you want to use GitHub for workflows, you need to create an .github folder. It's actually a hidden folder, but you since it's going to start with the dot, and there should be a workflows folder. Here's some workflows that I just want to show you that the syntax is really easy, that just you are going to name your workflows. It will be your workflows that when you go to the action part, and here it is. How it's going to work, actually update when you say latest YouTube videos mean is this. When you named it here, it's just directly going to be your workflow name. And also there are some triggers that when this will work, you can just make it a schedule. It's not going to trigger by any event. It's just schedule. It's going to work every 13 it's hour, just every 13th hour, 1 p.m. For every day. That's mean it will work every day for per 24 hours. Sorry. And the jobs here, as I show you a figure that's going to show you that the jobs, and here's steps. My first job is in this file. Actually, we have just one job. I will show you some other workflow files that have a lot of jobs, but for this, it's just have one job, and the job name is update this repo, read me with the latest videos from my YouTube channel. And this is one of the most important part. This actually this job will run on the Ubuntu latest. This is great because we can use just change this Ubuntu to macOS, and it will create an instance of the macOS, and we will use it directly. If we don't have like macOS device, also we can deploy our application directly to the App Store without having an macOS device. This is so important because in Turkey, one of the most question that asked me since I started to develop Flutter and prepare tutorials for Flutter was that if I don't have any macOS devices, can I develop application for also for Apple devices? Yes, you can. You just can use GitHub Actions, and you don't need anything else. It also will create like simulators and take screenshots for you, and you will use and you will send them directly to the App Store. And this is actually just two steps. One is going to use actions, and another one is going to use another actions. These actions actually prepared for someone else's those workflows with another, and it will use this workflow with two parameters like this. One of them is comment tag name, and another one feed list, mean where the videos will come. And it will actually since it's a really small file, and I want just show you that. So if you are ready, I'm going to show you that here is my jobs, and you can see the detail of the job and how many times it takes, like 1 second and 1 second. And I'm going to show you more detailed examples. Like one of them is fast shopping. It's actually not a repo that prepared by me. And another one is Oxford. This is private for my small private project. Before I just want to say this is so important to use this. I will send you just directly the original repo link. Also, I'm going to paste it to the chat. It's easy, actually, you can just write it, but also I'm going to put it in the chat. And this is actually so good organized workflows here. I strongly recommend you to just go and check all of the YAML files. That's mean workflows actually there. But for me now, I will talk about my own project. Since there is a lot of experimental jobs in this, I will just go back to show you. Actually, this is, I think this one is better. Here is my workflows, and yeah, maybe also for March, 4 days ago, I just want to show you a big workflow that have a lot of steps to do. I will, and if you have any question, just let me know and directly ask me in the comment. I will wait for your questions, and I'm going to start to analyze this file. When it's done, you will see that every time actually it's completed. As I said, the name of this workflow is analyze, build, and deploy for web and Android. For this workflow, it's just going to send my application directly to the App Store. And I will show you also, like, there is a fastline folder in your project folder. You need to create a fastline folder, and there will be a fast file metadata that's for example, for English, you are going to like full description text file, short description text file, and your application text file that in the English name. Because when you go to the like another language, probably you will use it like another name in another language. Like in Russia, the title should be changed because letter also differences. And also there are images to send directly to the Google App Store, should be also in their own localized language. And this folder I just want to show you because we will use it. This workflow actually triggered, it's not scheduled, it's just triggered on pushing. When you push in on the branch to branch alpha or pull request to the branch alpha, this workflow will trigger it. And here is some jobs like build. And this will actually run on also Ubuntu, latest version of the Ubuntu. And here is my steps. The first step is going to check out the actions, is they are valid or no. And the second one, since we will build our application for Android, we need also Java. And for installing Java, I'm going to use someone else's also workflow. It's official Java actions, and I just want to install Java version 12.x, which one is suites for this. And second one is we need to set up also Flutter, and for Flutter also there is an workflow. You can just use it with like which Flutter version you want to use. For this one, actually, I'm just for today I use 2.10.3, but since I just went to commit that January 30, it was 2.8.1 and channel stable. And if you want to cache it, since you don't want to download and build it for every time again and again. And the next step, don't forget please, it's just steps. When a new step begin, it's just the name of this step is install dependencies. For that, I just going to Flutter pub global activate very good CLI. Since I use very good CLI in this in my project, and I want to mention that these workflows, same as you are going to use your normal terminal. Like, for example, in my local terminal, when I wrote like something like that, Flutter pub get or anything else, it's same when you say run, and this is the line. It will run it here. Like if I can just copy and paste it here, it will work same, exactly same. And very good analytics, I will use very good analytics false, because I don't send to my users analytics data to the very good CLI. And I will just make Flutter packets get recursive. It's same as you said Flutter pub get. There is no something differences. And another step, check formatting when I run the Flutter format, and if there is any unformatted file in my project, it will exit. I'm going to check my library folder and test folder. If there is anything unformatted, it will exit and stop my action. And the second one will analyze my folder also. If there is any problem, also it will exit, and my this workflow will stop and send me an email that say me, sorry, your GitHub action didn't complete it. There is an error, and it will send you also detail of error. And the second and the next step is going to run my tests, and this is normal test as you are going to use in your project. If there is anything like integration tests, you can also run all of them here. If I have more time, probably I would like to show you also an integration test run it all here, but unfortunately I didn't prepare everything, so I cannot show you running integration test on GitHub Actions. And the next step, I will check if my code coverage is enough to use on this project. And the next one is going to check the code coverage. For this also I was using, because today I just change it, but also you can use the very good open sources. There is a very good coverage workflow that will check your code coverage, because when you run this will create a coverage file, and in the coverage file you will see if your minimum coverage is upper than 10%. Mostly I recommend you to use 100% test coverage, but for this project I just start from 10, and I will write all of my tests, and it will be like 100%, because for today I think it's more than 12 or 13%. And the next step is this step, I also want to mention that here in this point, our CI part is completed, because I checked that all of my codes ready to integrate my original branch, like main branch or alpha branch. Completed my CI part. And I'm going to start in the next step. I will start to CD, mean continuous deployment. I will build for build web application. As you know, if you want to use Flutter build web, it will create for us release version of our web version of our project. And since I am using flavor, this target flag say me just build web, not from the main.dart, because in my project there is no main.dart, just main_staging.dart. And in the next step, it will use Firebase extended action hosting deploy, its official action workflow for deploy my web folder to the GitHub. I mean for Firebase hosting. To use this, I will send here. I will send here that my repo token is in the secrets. This is important point I will show you. And the next one, Firebase service account. I need to get services Firebase service account. And another one is important, which project I will host it. It's Oxford 500,000 actually in Turkish language. Here's this word mean is 1,000 in Turkish language. And in which channel I will deploy my web version of my project, channel ID will live. And another one, if this job is this step is completed, my project will directly be hosted on the Firebase hosting. And the next one is download Android KStore. Since I need to use KStore to sign my application, I will there is also a secret name is Android KStore base 34. I will make it k.jks file, and in the next step I will create my k properties file. All of those files have actually contain sensitive data. We are not going to publish push them directly to the GitHub. Since they have sensitive data, we need to store them in the secrets. And in the next step, I'm just going to create the K properties file. And in the next step, I'm going to build my app bundle. I think most of you are familiar with all of those steps. But in the next one, I will set up Ruby because Fastlane needs to run on Ruby. And to install Ruby, it's just you need to say actions, okay, setup hyphen Ruby version 1 with Ruby version 2.6. And also you will need to cache your dependencies to not use it again and again. Here is a gems file that I showed you. Here is a gem file. It will look at this file and create for you Ruby. And after that, you will just use gem install bundler 2.0.2. It will inside that this file actually here is it will going to install for you Fastlane. And after you installed Fastlane, you can just release your application to Google Play. You need to Android package name. It's just in the build Gradle file. But another one is important. Google Services account key, it's actually in another where I will just show you how you can get it. Just go to the documents.fastlane.tools/actions/supply and dash setup. You will see how you are going to get your this Google Services account key, and after that you are just going to run this line. It's actually one line. Bundle exec first line supply. When you say supply, it will going to, in this step, when you run Flutter build app bundle, it will create this app AAB file, and you will just send it to beta of your Google Play services. Actually, most of things that I want to say is those one, and I will just show you the what's the secrets, how we are going to create these secrets and how we are going to use them. Actually, you saw that how we are going to use them. You when you just say okay, secrets point Google Services account key, it will give you some information. So where are all of those information? Actually, they are in the settings tabs of your GitHub repos. When you saw that, there is in the left part, there is a secrets and actions. In the action parts, here is your secret case. When you want to actually uh, I want the demo key, and which value are you going to just put it here? It's completely okay. When you say add this secret, you will be able to use this secret in your project. And if you want to remove it, it's easy. You will just, yes, I want to remove this one, or you can also update it, but you're not going to see inside the folder never ever again. You can just update or remove it and create it again. Thank you for listening to me. All of that I wanted to say. This is the end of my presentation. If you have any question, feel free to ask me. I will try to my best to answer your question. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Mehmet.
You are most welcome, and
So,
I think
so we don't have any questions at the moment. I've been following the, like, I think the feedback has been really good. So they say everything sounds great. And thank you for the substantial presentation. All
you
right.
are most welcome, and I'm also thankful to you to having me on this great festival.
All right. So I think a question just came in. So can you briefly explain the setup for Fastlane?
Uh-huh. Actually, there is two step to use Fastlane. One step is actually you don't need to do anything in your local project, and another part is actual installing, setuping Fastlane is on the cloud part. I mean, in the GitHub actions part. For a local one, you just need to create an uh, a file name is gam file. You will need to just create this one gam file, and inside it you are just going to write source http rubygems.org. This it will your source, and you will need to just it's like flutter pub add this add this one. It's just a package in the Ruby, and it will directly install the Fastlane. It's same as when you use in the .yaml pubspec.yaml. When you say For example, just give me a second to open this one in the Visual Studio Code. You are also familiar with it. I just want to say that if you want to like animation, it will just install to when you say Flutter pubget, it will install to you in your local project, and it's same when you say gem fastlane. I want to use this fastlane. This is for your local part, and another important part to create your fastlane folder. It's also important. Sorry. Uh, uh, I just want to show you three version of the folder. This folder should be like that. It's a brief explanation of the folder I just showed you. And another important part is on the GitHub Actions part. You need to use like I will go back. Okay, here it is. In the first part, you need to install Ruby. For using Ruby, is those 4 lines is enough. And another one is going to read your gems file when you say, okay, I have a gem file, and it will look at inside it and will install the all of that inside this file to your GitHub Actions computer. Actually, it's like operating system that we say it's Ubuntu latest. It will install Fastlane here. After, if this is completed successfully, you will use it directly like bundle execution Fastlane supply, and it will work smoothly.
All right, thank you so much. So
Thank
that
you
was
too.
so so the next presentation is going to be on building progressive web apps, so which will be taken by Majid. So Majid is a Google developer expert and a passionate software developer with years of developing and architecting complex web and mobile applications. His passions are generally Flutter, PWA, and performance. He is an award-winning author at A-Press and also an instructor with Park Publishing, Udemy, and Pluralsight. So he loves sharing knowledge with the community through his writing and speaking, as well as facilitating workshops and video tutorials. He also contributes to open source and organizing meetups and events. And he is the organizer of several big nomadic conferences and meetups, including Flutter Vikings. So it's a pleasure to introduce Majid Ijiana as he takes us on a journey of PWAs.
Thank you very much. Hi, everyone. Just
Hi.
know when I have to start, and I'm happy to quickly jump into the presentation.
Okay. So I think you are ready now.
Thank you very much. Then let's get it started.
All right.
All right, welcome to this session. So in this session, I'm going to talk about building PWA, progressive web app, with Flutter. So in 25 minutes, I'm going to show you like what are the possibilities with Flutter progressive web app, and also how can you extend your service worker and have a better progressive web app, let's say. So you all have seen probably all of these, examples. I'm not going to show you. So you get these slides later. You can come back to it and you can play around and see. These are already deployed to my web hosting, and they are all running offline. So they're technically progressive web app with written in Flutter. So there are 3 use cases for building web applications with Flutter. One is when you want to build PWAs, exactly the topic of today. Another one is building a single page application. Well, that's again a use case with Flutter Web. And another one is building, like converting your existing mobile application to web as well. But today we're going to talk about progressive web apps. What are the characteristics and what is the service worker? And also we talk about web app manifest, PWA, generally in Flutter, what are the possibilities? We're going to talk about how you can extend your service worker and have your own service worker instead of the pre-generated service worker from Flutter. And then we will finish up this presentation. So as you can see right now, well, let me introduce quickly myself. My name is Majid. I've been introduced very nicely, but again, a Flutter Google developer expert and also a community admin. So you can find me on different social media, on internet, usually with this handler. Try to catch me, and I'm happy to talk to you at any time. So let's move on. Oh, don't forget about Flutter Vikings. It's coming actually. So this presentation was just a promotion. Don't worry about it. PWA, Progressive Web App, what it is. Generally, when we're talking about progressive web apps, we're talking about like an application that is reliable, fast, and engaging, right? So there are several characteristics to it. Like one of the most important things is just it's resembling the native like user experience. So you're already building a mobile application with Flutter and you're actually doing some great things over there. So you can also do the same thing, like building a great web application and making a progressive web app, with Flutter too. There are a lot of APIs in browsers that you can also leverage in progressive web apps, and like you can access to USB if you want, or a bunch of other APIs. So this is also possible. But one of the things that I want to mention is two main important part of the PWA. One is the service worker, and another one is web app manifest. So let's talk about service worker right now in this case. What is service worker? In fact, is a proxy, it's a script running in the background, and it acts like a proxy between your application and your cache or maybe your server, right? So that's like what we call it, the brain of a progressive web app. There is a life cycle to that. So where you come to the application from the time that you install this service worker, then it goes to the active mode. Well, you can do a bunch of things over there. And then it goes to the ideal mode where it's just listening to fetch and a bunch of other, messages where you can do things behind in the different thread, in background thread, so with your service worker. So in fact, look at this script right now. The events the flow that I mentioned are coming as an event in service worker. You're going to have an install event, you're going to have an active event, and well, you need to use fetch. Luckily, Flutter is using that. So if you use fetch, so then all your fetch requests comes to service worker too. Here is an example of a web application. So where you can fetch like an API, and there we go. So that particular API, the request of that and response for this goes to service worker if you have an install service worker. That's very good. Why? Because then not only you can cache, this is a new cache API in browsers. So you can actually open a cache. You can actually store your request and respond. You store not only your static asset like CSS, JavaScript files and things like that, but also you can cache your network requests, make it fully offline. Here are some strategies. You get my slides, you come back to this slide and think about them and see how they work. But generally, you will usually have like a fetch, just a fetch event, and you can respond. You can manipulate even your respond here in this case. It's very powerful script we're talking. Here are some strategies I mentioned. You can respond from cache, just cache. Whatever request is coming, always respond from cache. And cache is residing in the browser near to the user. It's gonna be very fast, right? Or you're gonna have network only, where you always go to network. You never cache an API. You might have an application that requires this. Or you might have cache first falling back to network, where that means you are checking cache. If there is no cache existed, then go and fetch that. You might have the other way around, network and falling back to cache. If network doesn't exist, then or internet, you don't have internet, then you can go and fetch the request. So you can also update your cache while you are making your network request. But these are the strategies. Come back to them and read them more carefully. So, but another thing that I mentioned is web app manifest. In fact, web app manifest is like a JSON file. It's a text file that you are defining your the applications theming, like the screen, the logo, the colors, and things like that. Usually you will add them to your index or your file, the entry files, the HTML files like this. And luckily in Flutter you have that already. I'll show you shortly. The manifest JSON file is pretty the properties over there are pretty self-explanatory. You can change like color, names, and things like that. That makes your application installable. So when you install, you have a service worker, you have a manifest. When you install your web application on the home screen of the device, when you open up, then it opens up like a native application. And you actually you can change all of those design theming from the web app manifest. You can definitely double check, the manifest from the application tab in your Google Chrome, let's say DevTools. So let's now talk about Flutter. First of all, thanks to the Dart to JS. So, Flutter can also build a progressive web app, like a web application for you already. You're gonna get a JavaScript file, and a normal web application. So then, when you have your Flutter, if you look at the web folder under your Flutter application, you will see that you have a manifest.json. Here is where you can change your UI or your theming of your web application or progressive web application. So you're going to have in the index.html, this is the entry point of Flutter Web, only one HTML file as of now, right? So when you have that file, if you open it, you not only have the manifest on the top, so you also have a bunch of other things, as well as this script, loading Dart.js, and a bunch of other logic here, JavaScript logic, including registering service worker. Here is the service worker file generated by Flutter. The name of the file is flutterserviceworker.js. And it's a very simple logic here that is going to register your file, taking over. If there is a new service worker, that's going to be overtaken. And then, you're going to get updated service worker. Your user will get the updated service worker. This is the logic here. And once, if something goes wrong, then at least Flutter after 4 seconds will load your main Dart or main JavaScript file for your application. So it's not going to wait here. So it's going to load your JavaScript file. That's going to be good. So at least your user will see your application. So if you look at it right now, the file of service worker will be generated when you run Flutter build web. So then you're going to get Flutter service worker.js. This is something that is out of your hand. But let's take a look at the inside of this service worker, what it has. First thing it has is just a bunch of names, like the cache name and manifest name and things like that. Resources, the static resources that must be added to the service worker as a pre-cache assets. So here is with the hash. And also in the install event, as I mentioned, then it goes and add those static assets. In an activated, activate mode or flow, then it goes and clean up your cache and remove the old ones and add the new ones and stuff like that. And then you have the fetch. Here's the fetch I mentioned in the beginning in the service worker. So it's listening to any fetch request, including the changing the URL, and then it goes to this service and probably cache or return, something from cache or network request and so on and so forth. So that is making your application already working fully offline, but that is fantastic. So that's the case. You run your application on web, you'll see this pop up on Chrome or many other, even on mobile, you get a pop up and say, hey, do you want to install this? That means, well, you got a good service work, progressive web app with Flutter. But, well, you can take a look at the service worker, for example, in this case, where it's installed, what is the latest time. So you can double check the cache. Well, this is actually for you, like a client. You can double check the request and responded that has been added. This is the cache names under, if you look at this here, these are the caches under the cache storage. And well, that's not enough though. You want to build a progressive web app. You want to have a full control over your service worker, because this is not enough. What if you have an API? What if you want to cache API requests? What if you want to add more and more things, to your service worker? It's a bit out of your hand, at least as of now that I'm recording or explaining this talk to you. Luckily, if we go to and look at the JavaScript ecosystem, we'll find a very good package backed by Google and written with Googlers and also maintained by Google named Workbox. It's a tool that you can leverage to build and write your service worker in a better way. But let's see how you can do that. I know, we are in Dart, we're using POP, and so now you're asking me to switch to NPM and JavaScript. I know, as of now, I told you, but I know there are community efforts behind Workbox to make that Dart compatible or Dart ecosystem compatible. So as of now, bear with me, go with JavaScript, but later follow me. I have a lot of exciting news for you for later, so you get a better, ecosystem around this for you as a Flutter and Dart developer. But let's go to it. At least you understand how this is working. Even though later it's going to be a Dart, still the same concept and same principles. But let's go to it. You're going to have your NPM while you have Node already installed probably, and you're going to go and install Workbox-CLI globally. That's nice. Then Workbox CLI gives you a couple of options here. It gives you, like go with the wizard, just the questions, you generate service worker, or you inject manifest with some configuration. Depends on how much flexibility do you need. You can choose one of them. Let's see. I chose a configuration mode. Well, I created workbox.config for one of my applications, which is going to have, these are JavaScript files, .js, right? The workbox-config, my file, is going to have a bunch of properties. Globe directory, like where is your finalized build Flutter web application? That's going to be under build/web. What are the patterns that you are going to use for caching the static assets? So I added a bunch of things: JSON, OTF, fonts, JavaScript files, and so on and so forth. What is the service worker file you're going to write? It's going to be sw.js. That's what I named it. The path to that, where do you want to actually copy that? The destination. So it's going to be under build web folder, right? And, well, a bunch of other properties that you can add. Like, for example, I want to also add more than 10 megabytes, file, if there is any, for example. Here is a look of this JavaScript file. So very good. Now you have that fully under your control. You can add more and more configuration here. One thing that you can do, the first thing you can do here is that in sw.js file, you can go and import pre-cache and route workbox from pre-caching, like a module, and then add pre-cache and route self.web manifest or WB manifest. This is going to check your build folder of the web, find all of those files that you mentioned, like you had it as a globe patterns, and then add it as a pre-cached asset. That is fantastic. We'll look into that. However, there is a problem here. This is going to work with those ecosystem, like those JavaScript ecosystem that are using bundlers and things like that. It may not work directly for you in Dart. So I recommend you to directly import scripts, use imported scripts, and directly add workbox that from Google Storage API. So then in this case, you are 100% sure you have workbox every time, all the time. So that's not going to do the same thing. So you're going to have workbox here in this case as a global object. Then you have pre-caching as a property, which you can deconstruct the pre-cache and route and pass the same thing as I showed you above. But that's nice. This is by itself is going to handle like the pre-caching part of the Flutter progressive web app. Let's look at this. Now, before that, I want to ask you to do one thing, and that is you need to make sure you're building your pre-WA with no service worker. It really doesn't matter even if you build, because you're going to actually deregister that anyway. But it's nice to do that because then you're not gonna build that or the Flutter after building this. If you have already built once, it's going to add the self destructive script. So it's going to remove that from your client. So all the caches, everything will be gone later. So then do that with the PWA strategy as parameters. Then you're gonna have workbox inject workbox as a CLI, inject manifest, the sub command, and your configuration, workbox-config, the one that we defined together. Let's look at the file right now. So the file is going to be generated right under the destination that you defined. And it's going to be sw.js on the build web folder. Look at that right now. And look at the pre-caching thing. Isn't it familiar? Isn't it similar to the one that Flutter is also generating? But in fact, now you are generating that and you have a full control over it. So now you are generating a service worker file here, in this case, for your Flutter application, where also you can add more things to it. Like you can add the WASM files. You can add, if you have any other static assets here, you can also add it to this file. All right. One thing you need to do after this is you need to make sure you're changing in the index.html file of Flutter from Flutter service worker.js to sw.js. That is very important part that you need to definitely do. Here is the part that I mentioned right now. So next, what else you can do now? You have a service worker under your control. You can do a bunch of things here, and Workbox is providing a lot of things for you out of the box. For example, you can go ahead and add Google Analytics. So if you want to track your offline users where there is no internet and your users are using your application, web application, that is going to be automatically handled. That's nice, very nice. So what else you can do that? Like a lot of other things. You can have, well, Workbox is also providing you different strategies for caching. I mentioned in the beginning, you can leverage those. For example, so you can cache funds like Google funds that are like getting to your application. Here is one example here where later come back to my slides, look at these examples. You can go and check the origin for funds and add them to the cache and also have different strategy for that. Like you can have not only expiration for your cache, you can have also strategies such as stale while revalidating. Another thing you can do right now, so you can actually go and check out, register route, check out your APIs. Let's say I'm using Hacker News. This is something that now you can do under your control. You can say, I have an API. This is my API origin. So this is going to go on my cache. Whenever I request this, then cache first. Like that means for the first time, cache it, put it to the cache. But next time, when my user is requesting the same thing, never goes over network. Just get it from cache, from the browser and show to user. That's fantastic. Or maybe other strategies too. Like there are a bunch of strategies that you can use here, including expiration. Like for example, add this request and respond for 5 minutes. And if for 5 minutes user is requesting, always bring from cache. And then after that, well, expire that, retrieve, validate the cache, and then return the response. That is nice. So now you have a lot of control over your service worker. So let me show you one example here. So here is an example. Like in one thing that you can do right now is you can check the service worker that you have. With this example, you are creating a model whenever Workbox is registered or one of your service workers is registered and is updated, then this model, this is an example, is going to show up on the application and say, hey, there is a new service worker registered. You have a new update of your website. Do you want to reload? This is one example, which you have control over it, and you can do that as simple as these few lines. Let's take a look at that. Another thing that you can do is like you can actually send back and forth messages and do whatever you want. Like in this case, we're sending here skip, let's say, and then here we're listening to the skip waiting, and then we're just skip waiting. What does it mean? It means that you don't wait for service worker to register. Whenever there is a new one, register it, and please maybe claim all the clients. The clients, it means like tabs in this case. They all need to go through the new service worker. Never wait for reload or close and opening. And here is the case. So now that simple snippet that I showed you will show after the second time that there is a change in service worker and installing, it will show your user new version of application is downloaded. Do you want to do that? Do you want to like reload? And you can say yes and do that. In fact, if you use Navigator 2, like for example, you're using Go Router package or any other package, you will have a nice URLs for your web, including nested ones. And you can go and cache all of them as well. So make your application fully offline under your control. I recommend to do that for sure. So let's see what we have learned together. We talked about the fundamentals. We went through the service worker and the different strategies, and we talked about web app manifest, and then at the end, so we learned how Flutter can go better with the service worker under your control. You can read more patterns about advanced, let's say, PWA strategies. I have so many slides for that, so you can take a look at that as well. With that said, thank you very much. This was what I wanted to show you. You can reach me, connect me with this handler, and you can also have a slide under slides.com/my handler. Thank you very much. And with that said, have a very nice day. Enjoy the conference.
All right. Thank you so much. Uh, so that was really exciting, and I think uh, so. There is a question. This,
Sure.
do you think Flutter for the web is mature enough to be used in place of front-end tools such as Angular, React, or Vue?
Yeah, that is a good question. Well, in fact, Flutter Web can be used for building applications, right? I have definitely web applications built with Flutter. I gave you three different scenarios for building like web with Flutter. I think though, for building public-facing applications, like if you have like a web application that especially users can have access, or you have very heavy manipulation of the DOM, I think you should not use probably Flutter, and don't afraid to go use React or Angular or something else. But Flutter has its own use case, Flutter Web, and I think it's great on that as well. But for other use cases, perhaps you should use JavaScript framework.
Okay. Thank you so much. So I think that's all the questions we have for Majid so far. So be on the lookout. Since it's live on YouTube, some people may watch later and also may have their questions to ask you as well.
Sure.
So yeah.
Absolutely. So you can always connect with me with my social media, especially on Twitter. I'm very active over there, and LinkedIn. So, and also I have a YouTube channel, so you can also subscribe on that. So I have so many videos for you. Maybe later for Flutter Web, definitely coming. So stay tuned for that. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, Majid. So it is time for our giveaway break. And I'm also happy to have Audrey join me. Hi, Audrey.
Hi, Mike. How are you? Hi, everyone.
I'm good. I hope you are good too.
Yes, I'm good too. Thank you. It's a
Okay.
festival, so we are just having fun, I
Okay,
guess.
that's awesome. Yeah. So, as part of the celebrations for the festival, we promise we'll be having giveaways. So, we'll have a 5-minute break as we do the giveaways.
All
Shadrach,
right.
Shadrach.
So for the giveaway, don't forget. So Shadrach will be sending a form that you'll be filling, and soon enough, we will see who will get the Flutter Festival giveaway gift. So
Uh,
stay tuned, fill the form, and yeah,
yeah,
have
so
fun.
the link is live on YouTube for those
Yeah.
who are, and also on the screen, you can see bit.ly or bit.ly/Plaster Festival Accra. Yep. Let's see how that goes.
Mike, you first said bit.ly, right?
Yeah,
Sometimes I'm confused.
bit.ly.
I don't know how to pronounce this.
Uh,
To be very honest, I really don't know how to pronounce this. But yeah, bit.ly, bit.ly, the link is there. Just spell it and just fill the form and let's have fun. So, do you does any of you wants to share something that they've learned? If they've had a great time so far, you can send a comment, just a chat. Just say something cool like hashtag festival, hashtag I'm enjoying my session, hashtag I've learned a lot. Something. It's a festival. Let's make it a festive moment. So if whenever you do that, we see your name on the screen and we see your comment as well. So yeah, then we know that you're here and we know that you're having fun and we know that you've learned something new. It will close very soon, so keep filling the form. There's a good surprise for you guys.
All right, all right, all right, all right, all right. How's it going?
Yeah, that's a good question. How is it going? I don't know if Mike, are we allowed to actually fill the form? Me too. I
I'm
want to
sure.
give away some. Oh,
I'll just feel for those who don't want to feel.
that's a good plan. I think I'll also do the same. If you don't want to feel it, me, I will feel it so that I'll get the
I'll be
whatever
feeling
it's
for them.
coming for me. Yeah.
So, what have you learned so far, Audrey?
Ah, well, service workers.
Yeah.
That's all. Oh, nice.
Someone said I
Somebody.
learned about primacy at CD. So, I think that that talk about service workers just brought me a lot of memories to DevFest Accra 2018. I think I also did a presentation on PWAs, but on the web. I say on the web using HTML, CSS. So I think, yeah, that was when I was big on PWAs. I think
Wow.
with the coming of AMPs as well, let's see how things go. I seriously think, yes, PWA has a future, but I
Yeah.
think the adoption has been quite slow. It is not really moving as much as I actually anticipated.
So there was even this debate that I had with a friend, right? I was just telling him that since you already know front end, why don't you just go ahead and learn PWA, like dive deep into it instead of you going to learn mobile application. It was just a joke, by the way. And he was like, oh, well, PWA is never going to replace this. And I said, okay, fine. It's just for fun. Don't
Yeah,
worry. It's just for fun. But I like the way it's progressing, though. I like
yeah.
it.
I actually wanted it to. I thought it should have moved faster. Yeah, the adoption has been quite slow.
Yeah, it
All
has.
right. So, Audrey, take it away.
All right. Thank you very much, Mike. So,
Attention, all passengers. Special announcement. New destinations have been announced. Please be advised and plan accordingly. All aboard.
all right, and welcome back. I hope you filled the form and yeah, and you're having fun and learning a lot on this festival. So, the last speaker, but not the least, is Mariam. So, Mariam is a mobile developer with a creative eye for building good products using the best software development practices. Hi, Mariam. She's here.
Hi, good
So,
evening.
how are you doing?
I'm doing great. And you?
I'm fine, thank you. So, how was your International Women's Celebration Day?
Just work, I
Oh,
guess.
just what? We celebrate, I mean, we are celebrating all the women who work out there, you know. So, thank you very much, Mariam, for joining us. So, everybody, Mariam will be, um, her session will be on demystifying Flutter animations. So, get ready with your questions after the session. And yeah, Mariam is here for you. So, over to you, Mariam.
Hi, thank you so much. Hi,
Welcome.
everyone. My name is Mariam Hamzat, and I'm a Flutter developer. Give me a minute. I'm going to share my screen now. Okay. Sorry for the delay. So, hi everyone. Like I've said, my name is Miriam Hamzat. I'm a Flutter developer, and today I'll be talking about demystifying Flutter animations. Don't mind the subtitle; it's just more like a joke thing. So, before we move on to what Flutter animations are and how Flutter animations, how they look like and how they are being used, let's look at what animations are. Animations are an essential component in user design and experience that increase the aesthetic value of mobile design. What this simply means is that animations are components that make mobile applications very in our applications. They are things that are appealing, visually appealing to users and enables like a smooth user experience in our application. And the usefulness of animation is to reduce the frustration that users usually have when they are handling their mobile application. So the next slide, I just had to put this because Flutter is so powerful. Very, very powerful because everything we do in Flutter is said to be a widget, and even our animations are widgets. Flutter team, they've done a lot to make the animated widgets very, very simple to use for us. So we just had to maybe add the beginning time, ending time, duration, all those little parameters for animations to work. So I just had to praise them a little here. Why do we need animations? Animations is important because it enhances user experience in our application. It reduces frustration with data loading and helps improve the engagement rate of users using the application. Example is like when you're trying to get data from a particular API. So instead of you waiting for the data to load, you're just looking at your screen. Your screen is so blank, nothing is happening, and you're using like 5 to 10 minutes before getting the results that you want. A loader, it's an animated loader is a very, very good one to add to your screen while the user is waiting for the result. So the user can be like, oh, it's loading. So that means my results are coming. But if there's nothing there, like it's just blank, then user might be very, very frustrated. Not even mad. User will be very, very frustrated. So how to add animations to our Flutter application? Before we start adding animations to our Flutter application, we need to know the types of animations that the Flutter framework supports and how it works. We will then move on to how to choose perfect animation to our Flutter application. In Flutter, we have two types of Flutter animations. We have the code-based and we have the drawing-based animation. We'll be looking at the code-based animation before the drawing-based. Like the name implies, it says code-based. That is, it involves a coding activity. So code-based animations are widget focused. Widget focused in the sense that you use the widget, the Flutter widget, to access your code-based animation. And it says that is they tend to focus on animating existing widgets in our project, such as text, row, column, container, and so on. In Flutter, we can create code-based animation using implicit or explicit animation. In under code-based animation, we have two types. That is implicit animation and explicit animation. So don't let us get that twisted. Implicit animation. Implicit animation is an example of a code-based animation. The name implicit, it means it's very simple. It's a simple animation because all you have to do is set a new value and use the set state to animate the widget to the new value. So you're using the set state to access the new value that you've set. So anytime you get the set state to do something, it animates the widget to the new value that has been set. We also have when to use implicit animation. If you're looking to develop a simple animation for any widget in Flutter, like maybe you want to have an opacity in your text, or you want to have like a sliding text, or you want your text to come in, zoom out, you can use your implicit animation. Some examples of implicit animated widgets in Flutter are animated container, we have animated position, animated size, animated align, animated opacity. Position is when you want to position your that particular widget in a particular position in your screen. So that is when you use animated widgets. You can click on any of these widgets here in the slide. I will be releasing the slide link, so you get to like see how they are being used, more examples on what you can use your animated container position and so on to do. Now let's look at some examples of implicit animation. In this particular screen, we have a video where I used animated container. And before showing you this video, I would like to show you okay, so trying to play this. Please give me a second. I'll try to play the video, but it's not playing. But sorry about that. You'll be getting the repo link for this particular video where I wrote the code. I pushed it to GitHub, so everyone will be able to access it and you can test run on your device. So let's move on to explicit animation. Explicit animation is also an example of code-based animation. In this animation, you'll be writing more code compared to implicit. Like I said, implicit is where you just set a new value and use set state to access it. Meanwhile, explicit, you'll be writing more code because you want to like make your widgets to do more animations than using like the normal implicit widget. So you're having more control over the animation that you give to that particular widget. When to use explicit? You use explicit when you need an animation to run forever or in reverse order, or when you want to animate multiple widgets in the same manner. And some examples are fade transition, scale, rotation, position, and so on. Also, I have a video for my explicit and I also have the code, but I will not be able to play it. Sorry about that. Drawing-based animation. So this drawing-based animation is a very interesting one because you don't need to code. You don't need to code at all because we have third-party tools that's that helps us to generate animations for our drawings. So let's say your designer gave you a particular screen, or all the screens that designer gave you for that particular project includes a 3D image, let's say like a game character image, and that image is like the brand logo for that particular application, or and it's also a loader for all screens in the application. You can make use of Lottie animation, where you just import that particular image and generate the animation for it. Then you export it to your Flutter application and make use of it anywhere you want to use it in the application. We also have this coming to when to use animations, that is how to choose the perfect animations for your application. Before you start out any animation in your application, you need to really like look at the designs the designer gave you, so that you don't do double work. Designers are very, very tricky. So you need to sit down, look at all the screens that you have, look at all the images, all the icons that you have in that particular design, and see the ones that are for implicit, that is the images that can be animated using the implicit animation, explicit animation, or if it's a drawing based animation, then anyone that is going to be used, you just have to go on internet, get Lottie animation. If it's Lottie animation, get it set up on your system, then you import and export the animation that you've created. So far, what we have talked about in this session, we have learned what animations are, why we need animations, the types of animations we have, how they are being used, example of how some of them look like, and when to use these animations. This is a very, very painful video that I will not be showing you. It's very, very painful. And it's just a web page that was built with Flutter, and animations are being used in that web page. Very beautiful animation. You can check out the code in the repo below here. Any questions, please? Okay, so that is all about my session. And how was the session? Do we have any questions? Any comments? I'm waiting.
All right, I have a comment though. Really nice session. Thank you very much for your presentation. Yeah.
Thank you.
I don't know if anyone has a question in the chat. Do you want to share with us or anything that you've learned? She's still up. She can still answer your questions. So, all right. I don't think we have any questions, but thank you very much, Mariam, for your presentation. We really learned a lot, and this festival is even it's very interesting with different people on the panel, like a lady talking about animation and other men. That's a very diverse panel, and we really love to see it. Thank you so much for passing by. I think you can reach out to her. She her handle. Okay, fine. Sebastian has a question actually. So, and the question is,
Okay.
how can we see the videos you mentioned?
Oh well, you can see the video I mentioned when you have access to the slide. I'm going to be releasing the slide, so it's very visible to everyone, and you can check the video.
Okay. So, Alfred too has a question. Are there many packages you can recommend to make implementing animation easier with Flutter?
Okay, yeah, there are packages. There is Rive animation, there's Lottie, there's animated test kits, Animated test kit is very, very good when you want to animate your test widget. Like, it's very, very good.
All right. Any more questions before I say there are no questions and then questions start popping up? Or any comments you can still share? All right. As she said, she'll be sharing the slides, so they will be available, and you actually get access to the content. Yeah. So no worries. Thank you very much, Mariam, again, and we hope to see you soon. Thank you.
Okay.
All right. Um, Up next, we have Alfred, and he's going to talk to us about EduFund app. I don't know if Alfred is up. We are going to invite Alfred very soon. I don't know if Alfred is here. All right, Alfred will be joining us soon. He's here actually. Right. Hi, Alfred.
Hello, Audrey.
Okay, so we know you have some good news for us. You want to talk about the EduFund app. So please, you can start.
Okay, awesome. I do have a video. I don't know if that will be played, but I can give a preamble to what EduFund is. EduFund was an application that was developed during the 2021 Google Developer Students Club Challenge. We were able to place top 50, and yeah, we built it using Flutter to help solve a challenge that was common to all of us. So I think the video will best demo it. Okay. Okay, so I'll talk through it. This app helps students, since the audio is not playing, this app helps students apply for like funding on the platform. So if you you're a student and then you're unable to complete your school because you don't have money, you can just go on the platform and then apply. After you have applied, your application will be reviewed, and if it is accepted, you'll be listed on the platform, and anybody in the world can just like donate to you. So that's a brief about it. It was an interesting challenge for me. We did not know we could pull it off, but having Flutter, how Flutter made it easier to like build UIs, we were
Profile
able
tab
to
and click
prototype
on
that in
login.
less than a
After that,
few
click
minutes.
on sign up below the
So
login
I
button.
guess the
Enter
video
your
is
full
now
name,
available.
your email, and then finally your password. Step 2, apply. To apply for funding, go back to the application tab, choose a nice picture, enter an awesome title, a captivating story, enter your target amount, and finally select a category. After reviewing your application, hit the submit button. After your application is sent, it is put on pending. The administrator then reviews the application and decides whether to approve or reject the application. If the application is rejected, your application status should change from pending to rejected and would not be visible on the home screen. Step 3, start receiving funding. If your application is approved, your application status would be set to approved. Now your approved application should be listed on the home screen. With your application now listed, anybody across the world can now help fund your education by using either a card or mobile money. EduFund was built using the Flutter framework, so you can expect an incredible app performance, low power consumption, and speedy IT support across all platforms. At EduFund, we love to hear from our wonderful users, hence, we encourage you to always send your feedback. To do this, you can go to the info screen, click on send feedback, choose a rating, enter your comments, issues, or suggestions, and we will reach out to you as soon as possible. EduFund, empowering the future.
Okay, awesome. So that was a demo I was talking about the app and how we were able to like. It was one of the interesting challenges that we had, and like it was awesome implementing it. Apart from this app that we built using the Flutter, we also noticed a challenge in our school which our students were unable to calculate their GPAs. And within 1 year of learning Flutter, we were able to develop it. And that one has like over 500 installs. Yeah, so Flutter is awesome. I advise anybody that's getting started with it to try their hands-on project so that they can upskill faster. Uh, Thank you very much for having me, and I hope to see you next time.
Oh, thank you very much for passing by. And we learned something really great. And I don't know if people have questions. If you have any question, he's ready to take them. It's built with Flutter, guys. Come on, say something. All right, there are no questions, but you know his handle. So if you have any questions, you can just chat him on offline. Just go to, you have his Twitter handle there, Alfred Sosu. Yeah, then he'll be happy to answer your questions. Thank you very much, Alfred, for passing by.
Thank
Bye.
you
See
very
you
much.
soon.
Bye.
All right. So up next, we have Clementina from Temi Inc. Oh, and she's going to share about their products. I don't know if Clementina is here and if she's ready. All right. So in the meantime, let me just give exactly. So the giveaway is still in 2 minutes. In 2 minutes, we'll have the details for our giveaway. So stay tuned. Just a reminder. And if you haven't filled the form yet, you can still go ahead and fill it. So, all right. All right. Thank you very much, everybody, for attending this festival with us. We hope you've learned something really great. I have. And if you are not part of this community, join the community, subscribe to the channel, and also follow the leads and tweet about this event. Yeah, tweet about it and let the whole world know that you've attended and you've learned. That would really be great. So stay tuned because we have an upcoming event, which is the WTM International Women's Day 2022. I hope you know Women Tech Makers. And if you don't, well, now you do. And stay tuned because it's also a great opportunity to learn. So stay tuned also for that. And tweet about the event, as I said. We'd love to see your tweets. All right, I think that's it for this Flutter event. And we thank you all for attending and looking forward to seeing you in subsequent events. Bye, everyone.
Attention, all passengers. Special announcement. New destinations have been announced. Please be advised and plan accordingly. All aboard!